Humanity's greatest achievements come from genius, but its most entertaining moments are born from four simple words: hold my beer. We've gathered 101 perfect examples of when unearned confidence meets the unyielding laws of physics. And yes, they all end in the exact beautiful disaster you're hoping for. 1. Announcing he was a golden god of suburban stunts, a man in Arizona decided to jump his pool on his daughter's princess-themed bicycle. The ramp, a single piece of plywood resting on a cinder block, screamed, "Bad idea." He pedaled with the fury of a champion, achieving a majestic arc of failure that ended with his knee meeting his chin midair before a glorious belly flop. 2. In a moment of gridiron-fueled brilliance, a man in Louisiana wagered he could knock a beer can off his friend's head with a football from 20 feet. He wound up like a pro quarterback, unleashed a perfect spiral that made a wet thud against his friend's forehead, knocking him out cold. The beer can, in a stunning display of loyalty, never even wobbled. 3. To prove the invincibility of his new military-grade phone case, a man dramatically held his phone over a second-story balcony. With a triumphant cry of, "Watch this!" he let go. The phone, as if possessing a will of its own, slipped cleanly out of the case midair, spiraling to its doom on the concrete below. The case landed gently beside it, almost mockingly. 4. "This thing's got more horsepower than you think," a man yelled, before attempting to drift his riding lawnmower on wet grass. He was right about the horsepower. He was wrong about everything else. The mower instantly threw him off and continued its solo journey of destruction, executing a perfect porcelain massacre on his wife's collection of 20 garden gnomes. 5. Fueled by the kind of confidence only found at the bottom of a plastic bottle of vodka, a college kid swore he could punch a hole in the wall. After his friends confirmed it was drywall, he took a mighty swing, missed the hollow part entirely, and connected with a wooden stud. The sharp, splintering crack of bone silenced the music instantly. 6. "I saw this in a cartoon once," a man declared, seating himself on a metal serving tray at the top of a carpeted staircase. He achieved about 2 feet of glorious, frictionless speed before the tray shot out from under him, turning him into a human pinball that bounced down 28 steps on every conceivable body part. 7. In a bold attempt to disprove Isaac Newton, a Kentucky man announced he could stop a moving golf cart with his bare chest. His friend drove towards him at a snail's pace. It turns out even slow-moving objects have opinions. He folded over the hood like a badly made accordion, his only defense being a pathetic wheezing sound. 8. Convinced he was an Olympic diver, a man took a running leap from his roof, aiming for the pool. He spectacularly misjudged the physics of his own body, overshooting the water entirely and landing in the one spot designed for maximum pain, his wife's award-winning and very thorny rose bushes. The sound was a symphony of a splash, a snap, and a high-pitched scream. 9. The plan was to create an X Games highlight reel with a shopping cart and a pickup truck. The reality was a sad display of low-budget physics. As soon as the truck hit 15 miles per hour, the cart's cheap wheels developed a death wobble, turning the rider into a meat crayon on the hot asphalt. 10. 2 geniuses invented hot dog jousting, a sport where they'd charge at each other on bicycles, wielding frozen hot dogs as lances. The first and only match ended when one rider took a frozen frankfurter directly to the eye socket. It was a stunning display of accuracy and a guaranteed trip to the emergency room to explain the unexplainable. 11. This ramp is barely a speed bump, a man in Georgia declared before gunning his ATV. He was aiming for the sky but achieved only a brief, panicked flight path directly into his own plastic garden shed, which exploded like it was made of Lego bricks and shattered dreams. 12. Convinced modern electricians were overpaid artists, a homeowner tried to install a ceiling fan using YouTube and pure arrogance. After flipping the breaker, the fan didn't just turn on. It engaged in a violent, wobbling death spiral before detaching from the ceiling and embedding itself in his brand new 4K television. 13. A tourist, deciding he was a modern-day Snow White, attempted to hand-feed a wild raccoon a single Cheeto. "See, I have a special connection," he whispered to his wife. The raccoon snatched the Cheeto, then his entire index finger, and vanished into the woods, leaving the man with a much deeper connection to the local urgent care clinic. 14. Frustrated by a damp pile of leaves, a suburban dad decided to expedite the process with a splash of gasoline. The resulting fume sent a fireball that vaporized his eyebrows and forced him backward into his inflatable snowman, which melted around him in a sad, deflating hug of defeat. 15. To move a 300-pound pinball machine, two geniuses eschewed dollies for what they called gravity assistance. They slid it down the basement stairs, where it achieved the speed of a freight train, obliterated every single wooden step, and embedded itself halfway through the concrete foundation wall. 16. To conquer the infamous milk crate challenge for his TikTok audience, a man stacked a wobbly pyramid of crates 7 high. He took his first confident step, then a second, before the entire structure disintegrated beneath him, sending him crashing down onto the unforgiving concrete in a pathetic explosion of plastic and shattered pride. 17. After constructing a massive potato cannon, its creator aimed it at his own shed to test its structural integrity. The recoil, a force of nature he had completely ignored, launched the cannon backward like a missile, breaking his collarbone before it landed in the neighbor's koi pond. The potato, meanwhile, sailed majestically over the shed. 18. Some enlightened partygoer announced he would perform a keg stand while balancing on a yoga ball, calling it a demonstration of pure Zen. The universe immediately corrected his hubris, sending him, the keg, and the ball sideways through a plate glass window in a chaotic explosion of beer, glass, and terrible life choices. 19. When the grill wasn't heating fast enough, a self-proclaimed BBQ king decided to use lighter fluid's more aggressive cousin, 151 proof rum. The resulting jet engine of flame incinerated all the hair on his body below the neck and flash carbonized 24 hot dogs into inedible black rods of shame. 20. Using a car hood as a high-speed toboggan, a group of friends sought to break the sound barrier on a snowy hill. They succeeded in breaking something else, the very unforgiving barbed wire fence at the bottom of the hill, which acted as a giant rusty cheese grater for both the hood and their winter jackets. 21. The captain of a small fishing boat, trying to impress his landlubber friends, yelled, "Watch this!" and yanked the wheel into a sharp, high-speed turn. The boat turned beautifully. He, however, did not, and was ejected into the lake by pure centrifugal force, leaving his boat and his dignity to spin in endless circles. 22. "I don't need a bottle opener, I'm a man," some guy declared at a party, before trying to open his beer on the edge of a granite countertop. He succeeded in opening the bottle, while also taking a massive half-moon-shaped chunk out of the $1,000 countertop, earning him a death glare from the host. 23. To answer the age-old question nobody asked, a teenager shot a can of spray paint with a pellet gun. The can didn't just leak, it detonated, instantly coating him, his laughing friend, and his dad's prize-winning white poodle in a vibrant, permanent, and deeply incriminating shade of emergency orange. 24. Attempting to film a cool ghost ride video, a guy jumped out of his moving golf cart to dance beside it. Unfortunately, the wheel was turned just enough to guide the cart on a slow, inevitable journey into a row of brand-new, multi-thousand-dollar golf bags, creating the most expensive and pathetic domino effect imaginable. 25. "It's all mind over matter," a man confidently stated, before popping a whole ghost pepper into his mouth for a $50 bet. His mind immediately surrendered. What followed was a 30-minute biological meltdown of sweat, tears, and a projectile vomit so powerful it actually cleaned a patch of dirty grout on the patio floor. 26. A backyard Edison created the chain grinder, a horrifying marriage of a chainsaw blade and an angle grinder. The moment he flicked the switch, the immense torque instantly shattered the grinder's housing, sending the spinning chain on a wild, uncontrolled tour of the garage, where it viciously attacked a lawnmower, a tool chest, and the creator's sense of self-preservation. 27. A man, reliving his glory days, grabbed a rope swing to fly into a lake. His glory days, however, had better structural integrity. The branch it was tied to snapped with a sad crack, dropping him not into the cool water but into 2 feet of thick, primordial bog mud that smelled of ancient disappointment. 28. Convinced he was a master mixologist, a guy tried to impress a party by juggling 3 bottles of expensive bourbon. He was less Tom Cruise in Cocktail and more toddler in a liquor store. The resulting crash covered the floor in $400 worth of broken glass, wasted potential, and the scent of poor life decisions. 29. Jack stands are a suggestion from the lawyers, a man scoffed, propping his truck on a wobbly pyramid of cinder blocks. One of the blocks, unamused by his legal analysis, crumbled into dust. The truck slammed to the ground, miraculously missing him but crushing his brand new $1,000 rolling tool cabinet flat as a pancake. 30. Believing that more is always better, a group launched their entire box of fireworks from a single, unstable plastic table. The first mortar's recoil tipped the launch tube. The subsequent 5 shells fired horizontally, turning a backyard barbecue into a scene from a Michael Bay movie, with screaming guests diving for cover behind lawn chairs. 31. To prove his superior intellect, a man placed his extension ladder on 2 rolling office chairs to reach a vaulted ceiling. He called it a mobile scaffolding solution. The chairs, obeying actual physics rather than his ego, shot out in opposite directions, dropping him onto a glass coffee table that disintegrated under the force of his stupidity. 32. I've watched enough YouTube videos to be a professional, a homeowner declared, before attempting to chop down a massive oak tree himself. He cut the notch on the wrong side, causing the tree to pivot with architectural precision and fall directly onto his brand new pickup truck, folding it in half like a sad metal taco. 33. At a New Year's Eve party, a man announced he would demonstrate the art of sabrage, opening a champagne bottle with a sword. He missed the neck entirely, shattering the body of the bottle and sending a high-pressure spray of glass and champagne directly into a priceless antique grandfather clock, which stopped ticking forever. 34. The instructions are for amateurs, a man scoffed, before dropping a completely frozen turkey into a vat of boiling oil on Thanksgiving. The resulting grease fire explosion launched a 20-foot pillar of flame that instantly melted his plastic deck chairs and set the vinyl siding of his house bubbling. The turkey was still raw inside. 35. To get his car engine factory clean, some genius decided to use a commercial-grade power washer on its highest setting. He successfully blasted off every warning label, severed multiple sensor wires, and forced water into the ECU, instantly transforming a running vehicle into a very clean, very stationary lawn ornament. 36. A man, convinced he was a parkour master, attempted to leap from a dumpster to a brick wall across an alleyway. He misjudged the distance by about 3 feet, failing to grab the wall and instead sliding down it like a cartoon character, leaving a pathetic snail trail of denim and skin on the rough brick. 37. After running out of dishwasher tablets, a homeowner decided regular dish soap would work just fine, confidently stating, "Soap is soap." He returned to a kitchen experiencing a biblical flood of suds, with thick foam pouring out of the machine and covering the entire floor, making it look like a foam party gone horribly wrong. 38. During a blizzard, a group of friends decided to go car surfing, with one guy riding on the roof while the driver did donuts in an empty parking lot. An unexpected patch of ice sent the car into a spin and the surfer into a majestic, uncontrolled flight path that ended face first in a 5-foot-tall snowbank. 39. A man trying to move a massive antique wardrobe decided to walk it down a flight of stairs by himself. For 2 glorious steps, it worked. Then gravity took over. The wardrobe began to cartwheel, smashing a hole in the wall with every rotation before exploding into a pile of expensive kindling at the bottom. 40. After seeing it online, a guy tried to create giant smoke rings by banging on the sides of a 55-gallon drum filled with smoke. He hit it so hard that the metal drum, which was old and rusted, simply split open, dumping a cloud of thick, acrid smoke that sent the entire party into a coughing, gasping retreat. 41. "Trust me, I know my limits," a weightlifter announced before attempting to bench press a dangerously overloaded barbell without a spotter. His arms gave out immediately. The 400-pound bar crashed onto his chest, pinning him with a sound that was a sickening mix of a gasp and the crunch of several ribs. 42. To get a better view at an outdoor concert, someone decided to climb the speaker tower. He made it halfway up before the base dropped. The sheer force of the vibration shook him loose, and he tumbled down through the scaffolding, landing in a tangled, undignified heap right in front of the merchandise tent. 43. A DIY enthusiast built a homemade zip line in his backyard using a discount steel cable and a plastic pulley from the hardware store. His first and only test run ended when the pulley exploded under his weight, dropping him 10 feet into a meticulously arranged rock garden. 44. Some culinary pioneer decided to cook a steak by placing it directly on the coils of his electric stove, set to high. The result wasn't a delicious meal, but a thick, impenetrable cloud of grease smoke that set off every fire alarm in his apartment building and earned him a personal visit from the fire department. 45. It's not a real fence, it's just electric for cows, a man slurred before attempting to leap over it. He failed to clear the top wire, which snagged him by the crotch and delivered a jolt of pure, unadulterated voltage that caused him to scream in a pitch previously unheard by human ears. 46. Convinced he could drift his front-wheel drive sedan, a teenager yanked the emergency brake on a rain-slicked road. The car didn't drift. It snapped into a violent, uncontrolled 180-degree spin, sliding backward with perfect precision into the only fire hydrant on the entire block. 47. A guy decided to test his new bulletproof vest by having his friend shoot him in the chest with a paintball gun from 5 feet away. He forgot that paintballs, while not lethal, carry an immense amount of kinetic energy. The hit left a welt the size of a dinner plate and knocked the wind out of him so hard he fainted. 48. In an act of pure scientific curiosity, two friends put a lit M80 firecracker inside an old microwave and turned it on. The resulting explosion blew the door clean off its hinges, sending it flying across the yard like a deadly frisbee, where it decapitated a plastic flamingo. 49. Trying to dislodge a frisbee from a tree, a man decided to throw a bowling ball at it. The bowling ball missed the frisbee, sailed over the branch, and came crashing down directly through the windshield of his own car parked conveniently below. The frisbee remained stubbornly in the tree. 50. During a drunken trust fall, the designated catcher became momentarily distracted by a text message. The faller, who had announced his descent with a triumphant flying squirrel, met the hardwood floor with the full, unforgiving force of gravity, creating a thud that sobered up half the room. 51. A man, claiming he could communicate with bees, decided to prove it by poking a hive with a stick. The bees communicated back with overwhelming clarity, using their universal language of thousands of painful stings. His retreat was less of a run and more of a high-speed, flailing dance of pure, unadulterated agony. 52. To get the perfect action shot, a mountain biker decided to launch off a makeshift ramp built over his friend who was lying on the ground. The ramp collapsed mid-jump, turning the epic leap into a clumsy piledriver that planted the front tire directly into his friend's midsection with a sickening oof. 53. These safety labels are just suggestions, a man declared, before using an industrial-grade shop vacuum to suck up a puddle of spilled gasoline in his garage. The resulting explosion blew out every window and sent the garage door flying into the street, leaving him standing there, hairless and very, very surprised. 54. A group on a frozen lake decided to test the ice's thickness by all jumping in the same spot at once. Their synchronized stupidity worked perfectly. The ice cracked, creating a perfectly human-sized hole that swallowed all four of them into the freezing water below. It was a stunning success by some metrics. 55. Convinced he was a ninja, a man attempted to scale the outside wall of his two-story apartment building to get to his balcony. He made it about 10 feet up before realizing that brick is much harder to grip than it looks in movies. His descent was a clumsy, scraping, and very loud affair. 56. At a Renaissance fair, a man in full plate armor, after several flagons of mead, challenged his rival to a joust on children's tricycles. The charge was slow, wobbly, and ended when he lost his balance and fell sideways, unable to get up due to the 80 pounds of steel he was wearing. He just lay there, clanking. 57. A guy decided to impress his date by trying to parallel park his oversized truck in a tiny spot in one fluid motion. He overshot, misjudged, and ended up with his front wheels on the sidewalk and his rear bumper firmly embedded in the driver's side door of a brand new Mercedes. She was not impressed. 58. A man, locked out of his shed, announced he could shoot the padlock off like in the movies. He used a 12-gauge shotgun from 10 feet away. The padlock vaporized instantly, along with the shed's entire door, the door frame, and a weed eater that was hanging on the wall behind it. 59. It's just a little bit of mud, a driver of a low-slung sports car scoffed, before attempting to follow his friend's Jeep down a dirt road. He got about 20 feet before the car bottomed out, burying itself up to the axles in thick, unforgiving muck. His friend in the Jeep just sat there, laughing. 60. To create an epic smoke bomb, some teens filled a plastic bottle with household chemicals they saw in a video. They shook it, threw it, and watched as it didn't just smoke. It detonated, spraying a foul-smelling, sticky concoction all over the neighbor's prize-winning pure white Persian cat. 61. A man trying to save a few bucks decided to trim the massive branches overhanging his roof by climbing the tree with a live chainsaw. A branch he was standing on broke, leaving him dangling one-handed from another branch while the still-running chainsaw cartwheeled to the ground below. 62. Convinced he could recreate a viral video, a man filled a giant weather balloon with water until it was the size of a small car. His plan was to pop it and film the splash. He forgot that a ton of water has immense pressure. The balloon burst prematurely, creating a tidal wave that flattened him and flooded his entire basement. 63. At a family reunion, an uncle swore he could still fit into his high school football uniform. After a 10-minute struggle and the sound of multiple ripping seams, he triumphantly stood up, only to immediately pass out from the lack of circulation, falling face-first into the potato salad. 64. A man wanting to show his girlfriend his fearlessness decided to kill a single spider on the wall with a blast from a can of WD-40 and a lighter. The resulting jet of flame instantly set the wallpaper and the curtains on fire. The spider, ironically, dropped to the floor and scurried away unharmed. 65. It's a rental, who cares? A tourist on a jet ski yelled before trying to jump the wake of a large ferry. He hit the wave at the wrong angle, launching the jet ski straight up into the air. It did a perfect backflip without him, before landing upside down with a sad, expensive crunch. 66. A man, attempting to install a home security camera, decided to test the motion alarm by having his friend run at him while screaming. The alarm worked perfectly, but he was so startled by the realistic performance that he fell backward off his ladder, breaking the very camera he was trying to install. 67. To make his bonfire more interesting, someone tossed in an old aerosol can of paint. It didn't just pop, it exploded like a fragmentation grenade, showering the entire party and a nearby white vinyl fence in a Jackson Pollock-esque splatter of bright red paint and regret. 68. A street performer, trying to breathe fire, took too big a swig of kerosene. Instead of a majestic plume of flame, he produced a pathetic, sputtering cough that sprayed flammable liquid all over his own face, setting his magnificent fake beard on fire. The resulting panic was his best performance of the day. 69. A farmer decided to move a stubborn bull by getting into the pen and giving it a gentle push. The bull responded by gently pushing him back with its head, sending him airborne over the fence and into a large, soft pile of what bulls produce in great quantities. 70. After locking his keys in the car, a man decided he could get in by punching through the side window. He reared back, swung with all his might, and his fist bounced off the tempered glass with a loud thud, breaking 2 of his knuckles. The window was completely unharmed. 71. To show off his explosive power, a CrossFitter attempted a box jump onto a stack of plates that was clearly too high. His shins met the edge of the top plate with the sound of a drumstick hitting a side of beef, sending him flipping backward onto the floor in a heap of shame and scraped skin. 72. It's just like a big skateboard, a guy commented before trying to ride an industrial floor buffer across a polished concrete warehouse. He managed about 5 seconds of wobbly glory before the machine's torque threw him off, sending it on an unmanned rampage that ended by demolishing a pyramid of paint cans. 73. To create the ultimate slip and slide, a group of geniuses covered a massive tarp with dish soap and aimed it down a steep hill ending in a creek. The first rider achieved hypersonic speeds, flew off the end of the tarp, cleared the creek entirely, and landed in a patch of poison ivy on the other side. 74. A woman, trying to get the perfect selfie with a bison at a national park, got closer and closer, ignoring all warning signs. The bison, a 2,000-pound mountain of fur and impatience, finally had enough and headbutted her, sending her and her phone flying in opposite directions. The photo was probably terrible. 75. When his drone got stuck in a tree, a man's brilliant solution was to knock it down by throwing a boomerang at it. The boomerang missed the drone, arced perfectly through the air, and came back to hit him squarely in the back of the head. The drone, meanwhile, remained comfortably lodged in the tree. 76. Some aspiring stuntman decided to jump the gap between two apartment building roofs. He got a running start, leaped with all his might, and landed about 6 inches short, catching his shins on the ledge and sliding down the brick wall into a dumpster full of very unforgiving cardboard boxes. 77. A fisherman, frustrated by a tangled line, decided to whip it free with a mighty cast. He forgot about the large triple-barbed lure at the end. The line untangled perfectly, whipping the lure around and embedding all 3 hooks firmly into his own earlobe. 78. "Don't worry, I saw a life hack for this," a guy said before trying to open a wine bottle by putting it in his shoe and banging it against a brick wall. The bottle didn't open. It shattered, filling his shoe with a tragic mix of cheap Merlot, broken glass, and shattered expectations. 79. A man decided to test the structural integrity of his new hammock by having 3 of his largest friends pile into it at once. The hammock itself held, but the tree branch it was tied to did not. It snapped with a loud crack, dropping all 4 of them in a tangled, groaning heap of humanity. 80. To get rid of a stubborn stump, a man packed it with an absurd amount of explosive powder he bought online. The resulting detonation didn't just remove the stump. It sent a 10-pound chunk of it flying through the air like a wooden cannonball, where it crashed through his neighbor's bathroom window during dinner. 81. Convinced he was a master of stealth, a teenager tried to sneak back into his house by climbing the trellis next to the front door. The trellis, designed to hold roses and not a 160-pound human, ripped away from the wall, sending him and a cascade of thorny vines crashing onto the porch with enough noise to wake the entire neighborhood. 82. A man trying to look tough opened a beer bottle with his teeth. He succeeded, but also managed to shear off a significant portion of his front tooth in the process. He stood there, holding the open beer with a bloody, gapped smile of pure, unadulterated regret. 83. Annoyed by geese on his lawn, a homeowner decided to scare them away by charging at them with a remote-controlled monster truck. The geese, who are basically feathered gangsters, weren't scared. They attacked the truck en masse, flipping it over and viciously pecking it into a pile of plastic debris. 84. "It's all about balance," a woman said, attempting to carry a massive, multi-layered birthday cake and a stack of presents down a flight of stairs at the same time. Her balance was, in fact, terrible. She tripped, sending the presents flying and face-planting directly into the cake, creating a modern art piece of frosting and failure. 85. To save time, a man tried to light all 20 candles on a birthday cake at once using a can of aerosol hairspray and a lighter. He created a massive fireball that instantly vaporized the candles, melted the plastic cake decorations, and gave the frosting a distinct burnt hair flavor. 86. A man, attempting a cool dismount from his motorcycle, tried to kick the kickstand down while still rolling to a stop. His boot missed the stand and got caught in the spinning rear wheel, which yanked his leg backward and unceremoniously dumped him onto the pavement in front of a patio full of diners. 87. During a game of golf, a player got so angry at a bad shot that he tried to snap his putter over his knee. The graphite shaft didn't snap. It bent and then sprang back with incredible force, smacking him directly in the face and giving him a far worse headache than his double bogey. 88. "This will get it sparkling," a woman assured her friends before dropping her diamond ring into the running garbage disposal for a quick polish. The sound of grinding metal and a shattered gemstone was immediate and sickening. The ring came out looking like it had been in a fight with a rock crusher. 89. Convinced it was the quickest way down, a skier decided to go straight down a black diamond run, ignoring the winding path. He achieved incredible speed for about 10 seconds before hitting a patch of ice, launching into the air and landing in a deep patch of powder in a full scorpion pose, skis and poles scattered across the mountain. 90. To win a bar bet, a man tried to drink a full bottle of Tabasco sauce. For a moment, he looked triumphant. Then his entire body revolted. A violent hiccup-sneeze combination sent a fine, peppery mist shooting from his nose and mouth, incapacitating himself and everyone within a 5-foot radius. 91. Fully immersed in a VR boxing game, a man yelled, "I'm going for the knockout," and threw a wild haymaker in real life. His fist connected solidly with his 65-inch flat-screen TV, which went black instantly with a fizzle. He lost the game and about $1,200. 92. To get the last bit of his smoothie out of the blender, a man decided to push the contents down with a wooden spoon while the blades were still on. The machine instantly devoured the spoon, turning it into 1,000 wooden splinters and transforming his healthy drink into a fibrous, undrinkable catastrophe. 93. Convinced he was a budding artist, a guy bought a cheap tattoo gun online to give himself a sick sleeve. The first line he drew looked less like a dragon's tail and more like an EKG of a dying man. He now has a permanent squiggly reminder of his own arrogance on his forearm. 94. To prove he hadn't aged a day, a full-grown man tried to fit into a toddler's plastic bucket swing at a playground. He got in, but he couldn't get out. The fire department had to be called to cut him free with the jaws of life, much to the amusement of a crowd of 6-year-olds. 95. Plumbers are a ripoff, a man said, trying to fix a leaky pipe with a can of expanding spray foam. The foam didn't just seal the leak, it expanded with demonic force, filling the entire pipe, backing up into his toilet, and erupting from the bowl like a cursed beige volcano. 96. For Halloween, a man decided to carve his pumpkin with a power drill for maximum efficiency. He lost his grip, and the drill skittered across the pumpkin's face, turning its cheerful grin into a horrifying, mangled scar before drilling a perfect hole into his antique oak kitchen table. 97. In an attempt to become an office legend, an employee swore he could photocopy his own face with his eyes open without flinching. He slammed the lid down, and the intensely bright flash left him temporarily blinded, causing him to stumble backward over a trash can and into a large ficus plant. 98. When a tire wouldn't seat on the rim, a man used the starter fluid trick to inflate it. He used way too much. The resulting explosion didn't just seat the tire, it launched it 10 feet into the air, where it came down directly on the hood of his buddy's pristine 1969 Camaro. 99. Two geniuses tried to launch their boat by reversing the trailer down a steep ramp at high speed, intending for a splash and go. The boat launched perfectly, but the momentum pulled the entire pickup truck into the lake with it, where it slowly sank, bubbling like a failed aquatic experiment. 100. It's all about leverage, a man explained, trying to move a massive boulder from his yard by prying it with a long, thin metal pole propped on a small rock. The pole, not designed for such forces, bent into a perfect U shape and then snapped, smacking him in the face and giving him an instant lesson in physics. 101. Trying to kill a single fly, a man swatted it with a hardcover copy of War and Peace against his living room window. He obliterated the fly, but also shattered the entire pane of glass with a loud crack, proving that some victories just aren't worth the collateral damage. So there you have it. 101 beautiful, self-inflicted disasters. Now, a challenge for everyone who's ever witnessed one of these moments in real life. We want your story in the comments. But don't just tell us what happened. Pinpoint the exact split second, the one tiny, fatal decision that turned a bad idea into a legendary catastrophe. If this festival of failure made you laugh, demolish that like button. Subscribe